in university it might be hard, but just put in your effort, do your best. If you read, you will pass. I'm reading. Like I'm reading, okay? So don't tell me if you read you will pass. Some people have two heads, nothing want them. Hi, I'm Zara and this is Navigating Our Youth. Today I'm going to be playing Big Sister on camera. I have my younger sister here with me, who is in her penultimate year in the university. I'm just basically going to be asking her questions on how she's been navigating university life and just navigating the current stage of her life. And I'm just saying Big Sister on camera. Let's get right into it. Hi, Miss Awa.
Hi.
So, I have a couple of questions for you. I just basically, it's just questions I would have asked you normally, and I just want to know how you're doing and how you're faring. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confused are you right now?
It's an 8.
8?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, I'm nearing my final year in school and just thought like, oh, after school, what's next? How am I going to do it? What am I going to do? Am I going to use this course that I'm studying? Like, how am I going to apply it in the real world? Like, also, like, how long will it take me before I can be able to stand on my 2 feet? Am I still going to rely on people who are supporting me in school to still keep on supporting me? Thoughts like that just pop into my head.
So basically, the typical questions that every Nigerian graduate and undergraduate has. You know, it's so funny hearing this from you because I'm like, these are like kind of questions I ask myself, and you know, I hear a lot of people ask, but I've never really heard them like explicitly from you, right? And it's just so, I don't know. Is this what you thought uni would be like?
Yes, actually. You know, when I talk with my friends, we all say this, oh, you know, when we watch Hollywood movies, those old days, no, that they'll be like big girls wearing heels and walking up and down. But in reality, I just wear slippers, wear one random polo, just go to class, come back, try to get some rest. And this is actually what I thought it to be like. I never really expected that whole big thing. I don't know why, but like, well, mom used to say this thing that school is secondary school is different from university. There will be lectures, and sometimes you might not even get the teaching. You might just get lectures. Like, there's a difference between lecturing and teaching. And I don't know. I just didn't have so much high expectations for university. I expected it to be stressful. I expected it to be draining. So of course, while I don't appreciate the stress, it's not something that is unexpected.
So basically, you didn't have a lot of expectations, and what you're getting is exactly what
I thought. Well, I think I didn't really expect to have so much community. Like, I wasn't really aware of the fact that there'll be so many organizations and like communities inside the school. So that was something I did appreciate, because I've always been looking for like a community where I can belong and stuff like that. So that's what I appreciate. That's what I love to get from the school.
Okay, that's actually really, really cool, because I see you leveraging a lot of the community. I think you're doing better than me in that regard, like leveraging communities in university and all of the confusion, especially the part about slippers. Oh my god, my department was, so my school, I went to Unizik, and while we were going to OA, I went to Unizik, and science students used to be in science village. So literally, it was almost like as if the students were dressing like the way this term was village. You literally see people wearing Dunlop to school, and I'm like, when I first received the year one, I was always wearing corporate. In fact, someone once asked me if I was a nurse because of how I was always dressing corporate. If you cannot beat the Romans, you join them. I ended up wearing slippers to school too. Even though I love to wear sneakers, and people look at me funny, and I'm like, this is what we're supposed to wear to school. So I can imagine the culture shock and all of that. It's really lovely. So what would you say has shocked you the most about university?
Shocked me the most. Well, there are a lot of shocking things about university.
Tell me a lot.
I would say academics, right? Okay, so you know now I was a channel. That's the term we use for smart people in OAU. So I was a channel in secondary school.
Nigerian universities and slangs. Tell me about the channel.
Channel.
As far like your head is hot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you know I was a very smart student in secondary school. Top 10, top 5, top 3. I was there. So like I knew, like I said earlier, I've always known that university was going to be stressful. I'd had to put in so much effort. So I told myself, if it's reading, I can do that one. Like I know it's going to be stressful. I know it's going to be draining, but I'm willing to put in the effort. One more. Right? I do read. Like I really put in a lot of effort, but sometimes we see it in the grades, sometimes we just look at the grades, we say God I beg, and then we say thank God we shall not carry it over onto the next, and we do this whole academic comeback. Sometimes we don't come back, sometimes we do, but thank God.
Come back. So how many F's have you had? How many carryovers have you had? Have you had any carryover?
By God's grace, I've not had any carryover, and it's not channel.
You know the funny thing is, when I was in year 1, I think we had just written our first semester exams, and I saw someone that was in year 2 or year 3, and the person wrote maths, and the person was kneeling down on the road and thanking God he had an E. And in my head, I'm like, why are you thanking God that you had an E? What level? What absurd nonsense is that? until my grades came down, and I knew secondary school maths was different from university maths. Until I had the first maths I wrote, I think I had a C in it, and I'm like, what is this? What was that? So I can totally relate to the academics part. Like, you're like, I'm brilliant. I didn't know to read. I will just read, and then next thing, you're like, why is it not coming?
First semester was like they threw code on my face, like, welcome to uni. That was it. Like, a lot of people were saying part one was not easy for me. I don't know.
Really?
It is. I was a budget student, right?
Okay.
So I resumed a bit late. The things were just quite a lot for me to just understand at the same time, and they still have to attend tutorials and classes, trying to catch up to where they were and trying to still keep up with them. So it was a lot for me at the moment. And then there was this particular department. We had this history course. I remember they released their result very late. We were already well into part 2, into 200 level, when we saw that 100 level result. And like the basement was just like, that's where we hang out. It was just quiet. All of us just saw our results and we just looked at it, and we just, the ones that carried over, well, and the ones that did not carry over, we still were very quiet and crying, because you did not carry over does not mean you passed. So, and then the 100 level students were looking at us like, wow, this one. So like they were saying, oh, this, how would somebody be feeling like this?
Yeah.
And
reality will humble them. Well, that's hilarious, actually. So, I mean, I feel like you've answered this, but what's actually harder than expected?
Apart from academics, relationships. Now, I'm not talking about boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm talking about friendships.
I mean, even if you're talking about boyfriend and girlfriend, I'm here to hear about it.
I don't know. I don't think that's my fault
You
yet.
you don't ever talking about this part, but okay, go on.
Probably because I don't have anything yet there. But I'm talking about relationships, friendships. Like, the thing is, when you come to university, these are people you've never met before. They are complete strangers. And you know how people used to be like, oh, from university to best friends. Like, I don't know. That's just, it's really hard to just like try to get used to somebody and be close to somebody and share details from your childhood to the stage you are in, and just like keep that friendship up. Sometimes I wonder, does it not get, I mean, sometimes it does get exhausting. You're like, oh, I just want to rest, but like, you have to be a friend to that person. Like, when that person needs comfort or just somebody around, you have to, like, it's just really hard to navigate the whole relationships.
So, listening to you, I think I see, I mean, I'm your sister and I know where you like really excel at, and relationships have not really been your forte, like keeping up with people, and so you're basically saying that this is something you're still like trying to navigate and struggle with. Well, the truth is, I kind of understand. Listening to you, it just feels like, I mean, hearing like myself 7 years ago, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like similar kind of issues and all that, and I can really relate to the parts of relationships and friendships, especially having to know where to draw the line, boundaries, and just basically existing and becoming family again. yeah, I can totally understand that part of best friends. I mean, I don't know how I met my best friend, but it was in university too. But I'm sure you found a way around. I mean, you spent 3 years in it.
Yeah,
I'm sure you found like
yeah.
some ways to navigate
Yes,
it.
definitely, and that's why well, that's why I mentioned something about community, like being in a community, having to interact with different people from different departments, from different walks of life. Like it just helps you build that confidence and like not every time, but like to some extent, know the things to say at the right time. That whole emotional intelligence thing and reading the room and just stuff like that. It just helps being a community. It helps to improve your communication and your interactional skills.
Yeah, that's actually so nice. That's so true because some people are like, oh, I'm not so emotionally intelligent. I feel like you can learn everything and more exposure to community, to people who teach you these things. Speaking of which, this is so nice because my last video was on community. Go and watch my last video. Go
Yes.
and watch community. So basically, it's university is the very, very best place to learn how to not do life alone, and that is something that is really, really foundational in life. And I just think everybody should go through the university, right? So, have you had a "Why am I here" moment?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So when I was in 200 level, we had to do this mathematics course and economics course, and they were from the same department. Sorry to economics students, but like I don't know how they are surviving in that department too.
Yeah.
Right? So it was very difficult, and the thing is, the maths course was for year one students, but by my department, we usually do it in our 200 level. So it kind of clashes sometimes with some of our courses. I remember we used to have a class from it was a 2-hour class from 10 or 11 to 1. Then the maths class would be holding in from 1 to 3, right? So we'd be in this class and then we'd close the class by 1. And the venue were so far apart, like the IRS class, that's my departmental course, it was holding in admin extension, and the mathematics class was holding in PG lecture theatre. That was in college. And okay, just imagine walking from here to General Hospital. That was how far it was.
My viewers will not know how to tell, but I'm sure we can relate to the Nigerian university saga. Oh my god.
So it was very fun. And
Yeah.
using bike was, I don't know, it just was not an option. I don't know, some people used it, but for me, it just was not an option. And the thing is, I don't have I don't really have that sharp sense of direction, right? So I always enjoyed working in group. Like it took me like I had to go there like 3 times before I could know the road myself. So I always look forward to working with my classmates so that I don't just get lost or get lost on the way. So we always just walked to PG lecture theatre.
Oh my god, no wonder your steps, you literally would be sending us 13,000 steps in a morning. Like
in the morning.
That's crazy. I could literally understand Nigerian universities and space, and especially for like big universities. Some universities have to catch their salt. Like for big universities, you could literally have lectures somewhere, and your next class is like probably like a mile apart, and then people would walk. I was never part of people that used to walk because I don't even have energy. But you are walking and you don't have any sense of direction. That's hilarious.
So it was really, really far, and then the lecturer is to close the door maybe like 10 minutes after the class has started. Yeah, then close the door 15 minutes, and then so there was one particular time. Immediately I entered, like the lecturer was literally here, and I just entered, and the man just and closed the door, and I was so like thank God, because it was a maths course. Maths isn't my fault, and I was like, if I can't get so high, at least let me have my attendance to boost up my score, right? So it was always a struggle to get to the class early, and sometimes when you enter the class, because we are doing it with so many departments and they were part 1 students, so like they did not really send us because they are like, you people are part 2 students, you cannot be stressing us the way these freshers are stressing us again. So we just come to the class is already filled up, so we get to sit at the back, we are not hearing anything, we just sit down, we just be wondering, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this course? What does mathematics have to do with international relations? Like the amount of times I said that in part 2 was like the most stressful period of my life.
I can imagine. I just feel like Nigerian universities have a way of making university life really stressful. I mean, I've spoken to some of my friends that went to private universities. While that had its own, like, they had their own struggles that I wouldn't even want to be a part of. I feel like federal universities were literally out for blood. They were literally out for blood. I remember this, I think I was in my 300 level then, and there was this line in Rema's song, you know, Fiki, you don't die before. And literally, my classmates capitalized on it because we had gone through a lot. We had gone through a lot in school. It was just like, you know what? This course can't kill us because I mean, it just felt like we were already gone. So you can't even like do your worst. We had a lot of why am I here moments, and I can just imagine how difficult that has been for you. My heart goes out to you. You still have one more year doing this. So, what do students pretend to understand but don't? What do you think students pretend to understand but they don't?
Wow. I would say finances.
Finances?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people are just like, oh, if I get this with proper, you even go for conferences, they'll be like, oh, proper budgeting and planning and this one and that one. You'll be able to manage your finances as a student if you don't impulsively buy, don't do this, don't do that. And then at the end of the day, you do all the budgeting, you do all the planning, and yet your money is still gone. And you'll be wondering how. I feel like this is a general problem. Like a lot of people, even people that are not students, face it. Like you just get finances, and 1 minute you are there, you are planning, and the next minute it's all gone, and you're wondering, how do I say that? What did I even use this money to do? Like, where is the proof of what this money?
Especially since you're like surviving on pocket money and you know, like earning the money.
Yeah.
What is that like for you though?
So the thing is, by the ending of the month, I've already started putting down things I'm going to need. I don't know. I love budgeting.
Love budgeting.
I like doing it. It's just sometimes when I'm bored, I just pick up a book and I just start writing things I need.
That's actually something new I'm learning about.
No, I like budgeting. I like doing it, and then I just write the essentials and then the things that are not so important. So I wait. Then when like salary week now.
Salary week, are you any salary? Can you imagine? That's how you called me one day. I literally said, oh hi, how stressed are you? I was like, oh thank God it's the end of the month. I'm wondering, what do you mean by the end of the month?
End of the month. So around that beginning part of the month, I used to tell my friends, like, if you want something from me, just make sure to tell me before the beginning of the month so that I can put it in my plan. Because if you meet me in the middle or the ending of the month, when it's just like when I'm managing the money, I'm just managing the end of the month. Oh, nothing for you. Sorry, but nothing for you.
That is hilarious. Like you are saying end of the month, like as if you're earning anything. But anyway, I mean you're earning from your people's pockets.
Yes.
So I mean with being almost done with university and currently still trying to approach your 20s, do you feel grown or confused?
I'd say I feel a bit grown.
Okay.
Compared to when I just entered university, I would say I have seen progress. When I was a fresher, I used to really shy away from having conversations with people, especially guys. Like I don't know, I wouldn't say afraid, but it was just something I didn't want to do at all. But now, at least to some extent, I won't say I'm perfect at it yet, but to some extent I think I can hold a conversation with people and I don't shy away. At least there are some topics that I wouldn't want to have with somebody yet, but like I don't shy away from conversations with people, and I do have a couple of guy friends and female friends.
Well, that's lovely. I think we differ in that regard. I've always had male friends. At the point, mommy had to even get used to it. Like literally at the point, all my friends were guys. I mean, I had female friends too, but I just had a thing with guys. Maybe because of the little tomboy energy I had too, perhaps that also was a thing for me. So what's one thing you feel like nobody warned you about?
Mm, okay. Reading.
Reading?
Yes.
I mean, you did not know that you're going to read in university.
Like, what they just used to tell us is, in university it might be hard, but just put in your effort, do your best. If you read, you will pass. I'm reading. Like, I'm reading. Okay? So don't tell me if you read, you will pass. Some people have two heads. Nothing want them. They have two heads.
Oh, I thought you were Shano. How come you don't have two heads?
Some
Maybe
people
we check where you are. Oh my god, that's hilarious. So reading is stressing you out.
Reading is stressful.
Like, it feels like you have to read almost all the time.
Yes. And it's really stressful.
I feel like you cannot wait to graduate.
At this point, anybody that just asks me, "Oh, how is school?" Please just tell them to give me my certificate. I'm done. I beg.
Oh my god. So what course is stressing you right now? What particular course is stressing you right now?
Okay, so I just finished this semester, so I'm not really sure about how the courses for next
so
semester
what
are
course
going to be.
stressed you so much last semester?
Last semester, IRS 301.
Okay,
That-
what's that?
You see this thing, course titles. I don't ever remember them. I'm
Oh,
coming.
really?
International Economic Order.
Okay.
So it felt like we were doing a bit of economics, and if you remember, I disliked economics. Like, this was something I passed in secondary school, but university humbled me a lot. So I disliked economics already, and then they just had to bring it into the international system. And well, it was nice. The thing about economics is I love getting to know about it. I just don't want to have to write tests and exams on it.
Okay.
So this time around, the course of competence, maybe not catch me outside, but like, let's just say we didn't have so much things to prepare for the course. Let's leave it at that.
Okay.
Right. So test, and no, we didn't do tests. We did presentation. Luckily, we used like AI to like get and like textbooks and got some materials from seniors, and we were able to do the presentation. I just hope I did so well in my presentation. I think I did. And then the exam was, I think that was where the problem came, because like I said, we had quite little to prepare with, so it was just a lot of research, what's going to, like, we used AI. I used ChatGPT a lot. Like, sometimes if I had to use ChatGPT to form a note, and it was just not reassuring to have to rely on a ChatGPT formed note for exams. So that stressed me out a lot.
I can imagine. Nigerian universities are not even beating the allegations. Do you think I could survive your course?
Yes, you could.
Oh, really? Why?
It's international relations. It's not something technical. It's not something that has to do with calculations. And honestly, I'm not trying to say easy. It's not easy. I don't think any course is easy, but you can do it. Like, it's
Can't do it.
like, it's just things that we are actually doing right now. I feel like a lot of everybody at some point has to keep up with news from around the world, and basically international relations is taking the events and like analyzing it with theories and trying to just make sense of like the hidden games at play in world politics. Like, it just has to do with world politics. Of course, you're going to have to learn the theories, you're going to have to learn the principles of the international system, the foundation. But I feel like once you've got that, you might not be an A-star student though, but like, you'll survive. Like,
I'm listening to you talk about all of the world politics, and while I take like a passive interest in it, I don't think I would want to write exams and tests. You're literally talking about things I really dislike. I mean, put me in the analysis, put me in technical stuff, put me in calculations, and leave me out of theories. But if you say I can't survive your course, then maybe I can't. I can't do it.
let me tell you a question they gave us for IRS 301.
Okay.
So they told us, you are the president of Nigeria. No, you are the minister of foreign affairs in Nigeria. How would you advise Nigeria to improve its public diplomacy?
If I tell you people how, if I tell you people how, your country can scatter.
Even though I saw that question like this, I was like, no, thank you. I'm not doing.
You didn't answer that.
I didn't answer that.
I can imagine, because I mean, do you want me to talk with the anger that I feel right now? Oh my god. So I have one final question for you, and that is, have I ever acted like your second mom?
Yes,
Okay.
you have. I remember there was a particular time I called you to tell you, um, uh, I just called you, Sha. I call a lot. I stress people a lot. I don't know why. I do that. Even my
You
friends say
do.
that. So, and you were just doing the whole nagging mom thing, like, oh, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you eaten? Are you going for
Nagging mom.
yes, you nag a bit, not a lot, a bit, but it's to a good extent. I mean, sometimes it reminds people of what needs to be done. So
Okay.
there's that, and also you're very caring.
I
Like,
am.
yes, I mean, if something happens, first thing I used to be like, oh, let me call my sister. Of course, sometimes when something happens, I'm like, oh, I don't want to call my sister.
Okay.
Because if somebody is going to shout at me, it's going to be her. But sometimes it's hard. I'm going to want to call first.
Oh my god. I don't know if that is sweet or if you are insulting me, but that's so nice. But anyway, honestly, listening to you and doing this question and answer session just makes me realize that we're all like having to navigate our lives regardless of the point you are in. I mean, I'm listening to you talk about university, and university was something I dealt with like well over 5 years ago, and it's lovely to hear it. I mean, like these struggles are, it's so easy to. I've moved on past university, and a part of me just forgets that there's a generation of people in the university. I'm just dealing with my, struggles and whatever. But I just think we're all figuring things out as we go, whether you're in your 20s or you're just about to start yours, and regardless of the phase you're in, I think we're all just figuring how to do things. And I think I can only say that I wish you luck, even as you complete the rest of your studies. I mean, you're almost done fighting.